All right, so the Oscars is coming around this March, and instead of like last year with like ranking all the nominations, since there's even though there's 10 again, like that they're keeping it up, but this I already talked about five of the nominations, so I thought I'm gonna talk about the other five that I haven't really talked about. Well, I might have talked about one before, but I think as time has gone on, ever since I saw that film, I'm gonna like watch it again. I'm just gonna give like new thoughts on it. But so if you want to see my thoughts on Avatar, Way of the Water, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Top Gun Maverick, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Banshees, then go watch my video on my favorite films of 2022. So let's get into the five other Oscar nominated films that I haven't talked about. So starting off with Elvis. Now, I said before, I don't like Baz Luhrmann, and I did not see this, of course, when it came out, because I don't like Baz Luhrmann. I only watched it recently because of the Oscars. And I think it's good. It's alright. It's nothing great. The biggest props is Austin Butler, who is really good as Elvis Presley. Like, the way he dances and moves, he actually does feel like Elvis Presley, which I do like. Tom Hanks, I don't think he was that bad as Colonel Tom Parker. He was alright. And Baz Luhrmann's direction was there. But, like, at least, like, unlike something like Great Gatsby, where there was, like, the problem with that movie is like, the CGI is, like, too much. There's definitely, like, some CGI in it. But it's not that bad, I think, in my opinion. It's not, like, overdone. And I think it actually works for Elvis, so I think his direction was decent. I still don't really like him as a direction. But I don't think it's not my least favorite of the nominations. We'll get to that one eventually. But it's got some good stuff that I too admire about it. The acting is good. The costume design is decent. And that's really it. It's just, I guess it somewhat captures Elvis pretty good. Even though this is not the only movie called Elvis. There are a ton of movies with Elvis in them. So, The Fabelmans. A lot of people love this movie besides me. I talked about this when that security guard broke into my house, and I've said that I wasn't big into it that much. And as it like sits in, it feels so. It's just kind of mediocre. That's where it just falls. It's got like good acting still. Like, I think the actors are really good, but it just feels like a bland story in a way. And I get like Spielberg. I feel like he really just wanted to make something like Linklater, like Boyhood maybe. I think it's an interesting idea if you want to make a movie about like a kid making movies. Because there are like parts of the movie where I love Spielberg seeing what it was like making movies with his Boy Scout friends. And kind of like, it kind of ties into the whole thing with like Last Crusade and why Indy was a Boy Scout. Because Spielberg and Harrison Ford, both of themselves were like scouts. So I like that stuff. I like all the film stuff. I like when you have these like small roles with Judd Hirsch and David Lynch. David Lynch, I think, scene was the best part. But everything else I just don't care for. And another thing that always like pissed me off about the movie is just that how Spielberg just throws in Julia Butters from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and does literally nothing with her. Nothing at all with Julia Butters. She's just there, and that's it. Like, I honestly God just feel like Spielberg was just watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood one night and saw her in that movie. It's like, I want her in my movie, and that was it. Also, Seth Rogen, too, just feels thrown in there and forced. Not funny. But again, it's not terrible. I don't think it's bad. I feel like Spielberg just hasn't made a film to me that truly is great. And I know West Side Story really... I think West Side Story was good, but it still had its issues, I think. Like, with its characters and, like, the choices of, like, subtitles and, like, changing the lyrics, and just the fact of making West Side Story was just not a good idea to begin with. Overall, I feel like we haven't gotten a great Spielberg film since Munich, and I think people are overpraising this movie. I really do. And I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of people that really love this movie, but I don't. I'm sorry. Triangle of Sadness. Though I don't think the movie is a masterpiece like everyone says it is, I still really enjoy it. I still think it's a fun premise of a movie, of just like this satire of like the rich and how they, and like at the end of how they deal with like the more like working class members. That stuff is like, that is actually like a good premise of a movie. It's got a lot of funny stuff to it. I like the Russian guy who sells fertilizer. That actor that was Ray Fiennes' son from The Kingsman was good. And Woody Harrelson, who's hardly in the movie, he's really good. It's a good movie. It's got good cinematography. It's got good direction. It's a good dark comedy, and that's what I like sometimes. Didn't make my favorite films of the list, but I really did enjoy it enough to have it like at like number 16. But that's really all I can say. It's a fun movie. Tar, being one of the movies that I didn't see when it came out, because I'm going to put this under as one of those movies that was horribly, horribly marketed. Like, because the movie, I think the ads just like, they didn't really say what the movie was truly about. It just looked like it was just about Kate Blanchett as a orchestra conductor. That was about it from what it looked like. But it should have really like advertised it as this woman that's going through cancellation, and that would have been a great way to market the film. And that's not how they went with it, because I actually really liked Tar. This was really, really fucking good. The acting from Kate Blanchett is really good. The cinematography from Todd Fields and direction, it's all terrific. And it's really good, like, kind of like if it reminded me a lot of Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull, and it kind of has that aspect of this person who was like this like well-acclaimed icon and gets like tarnished by like the things that they do. And like Tar is like, just the character of Lydia is such an interesting character on how like this woman that like arises in this capitalist society, like and like how she like basically like removes herself from like her roots. Like all of that is like interesting stuff for her character. It's all really good. And yeah, a film that I just overall I feel like it just got so wrongly promoted by like the marketing team. They just didn't know how to market the film. And it's a really good movie that just feels so relevant today, about this woman just getting canceled and how like she's like living through these moments and her breakdown, and how like her possible rise back up. That it's all interesting, great. Tar is really good. I enjoyed it. So to end off my talk about all the Oscar movies, we'll talk about Women Talking, which, yeah, this is just my least favorite out of all of them. It's just, this movie is just really boring. And a lot of people like this movie, which I still don't understand, because I feel like it has an interesting topic to do. An interesting, like, society to look on. And I don't think they go for it. And I wish they went more into, like, the disturbing aspects of, like, these women's life and how they live with the men. It could all be really done interestingly, and it feels too clean. And clean is not even the right word to say, because I can barely see what's going on. Like, this movie is... It's a very dark-looking movie. Like, even during the day, it looks way too dark. Like, the color grading, they should have brightened it up a little bit, guys. And the acting is just very... It's fine, but it's just so-so. The writing is also, like, it's just... It's not something I'm, like, big on. It feels too pretentious. But it's downright boring. Not an interesting film. But it could have been interesting. They could have made... Sarah Polley could have made this could have made this a very dark R-rated movie about the society of women that are, like, tortured, but no. So, now on to the rankings of all the Oscar nominators. So, number 10 is, of course, Women Talking. Just the one I like the least. Elvis, so Fabelman's just bland. Triangle of Sadness at number 7, and Tar at number 6. Both these movies, like, are kind of on the same level of, like, artsy and direction. They're kind of a tie. Avatar number 5, did not expect this to really get, like, another nomination. But it got, like, less nominations, just like the first one. Everything Everywhere All at Once, still really good, and Top Gun Maverick. These two movies, I'm glad they got nominated. All Quiet at the Western Front, I'm very glad to see this get nominated. And Banshees and Inisherin at number 1. Fantastic film. I hope that gets the acting awards, Best Picture, Director, and Writer. I hope it's a sweep for me. Now, overall, I wish Elvis, Fabelman's Women Talking were just replaced with Babylon, The Whale, and RRR, which are just way, way better movies than Fabelman's and Elvis and Women Talking. Way better movies. I wish they put that, but that's the Oscars. And, I feel like, I will say though, I mean, I think Fabelman's, Elvis, and Women Talking have the littlest chance of winning. So, I hope all those 7 choices, either one of them, takes home the award. And it's not as disappointing as last year with Coda, which I was not a big fan of. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe, check out my other videos on my channel, and I'll see you next time.